the landscape has changed in wrestling yet again. And, you could say we're on the horizon of something special, but, here we are again, 37 years later. And what do you think of what's happening now in the business, Arn?
Well, I was in Vegas. I was there. I was in the green room when the AEW guys were all in there and they were talking about this and that and the other, and you could just see the excitement on these kids' faces, and you could see the leadership roles being taken up by guys like Cody Rhodes. And I tell you, Cody was just a kid. I've known Cody since before he was born. And to see him in that role and see this company, which does remind me of JCP back in the day, because everyone is so excited to go out and perform for the wrestling audience. If you don't feel good about what's going on right now with AEW and the impact it's had on the business, you're a fool, and that's it.
Yeah, oh my gosh, the energy that you could feel. I mean, and for those of us that weren't in Vegas, you could feel just the hum, you could feel the wrestling fans, even the week before at the event we were at, just kind of building to see what was this going to be like and what expectations it was going to meet. And there was a picture that surfaced of the gorilla position of AEW's Double or Nothing, and to see, how everybody was working together collaboratively, it was really cool to see, and I'm sure you felt that vibe.
Yep, I wasn't at the show. I was there doing some signings, and I had a stage show, which I did with Tony Giovanni, which was absolutely awesome here in the day. I didn't go to the show because I didn't want anybody coming up with, make no mistake. I want to be clear. I do not work for AEW. We haven't had that discussion as of yet, not to say that I wouldn't be honored somewhere down the road to be offered a position with those guys, but we just haven't had that conversation because right now, quite frankly, I'm legally bound to a non-disclosure agreement, and for a few more months, I'm going to be still on a severance package. So I can't talk to anybody about anything as far as job going forward. But that being said, I was so excited for them. It might as well have been that I was working for them, because I sure was pulling for them every step of the way, and they paid it off.
Do you think Cody reminds you of Dusty at all as far as being in that role and kind of running the show and somewhat the booker, but also the boss? Do you think that they have a lot of parallels and a lot of similarities?
I think he's easy to be around, as was Dusty. Dusty Rhodes was a huge star. To this day, I am starstruck even thinking about him, much less being in his presence. And I think Cody has star quality. I think he has purity of the heart, and that he has matured. And he's going to take some of those things that his dad taught him before he passed, and they're going to become something meaningful now, whereas they were just words at the time. I think he's going to go back and rethink about the life lessons that he got from his dad and from his older brother, to be perfectly honest with you. Dustin Rhodes is very mature in this business, and he's a very smart man. And he came up, in a rough way, in this way. Let me put it to you this way. When you're Dusty Rhodes' kid, man, have you got a horrible shadow to step into. Number two, you've already got heat because your dad's the booker, and people think you're getting a free ride. Well, he didn't get a free ride. The kid earned his way along, and he became really, really good. And it's going to pay off for him, and it's going to pay off for Cody. But do I think either one of them want to be their dad or want to be like their dad? Not necessarily. They both want to be their own men, and I think they're being their own men right now, and I'm proud of both of them.
And at the show, I'm not sure if you caught this part, Dustin and Cody had a great match. After the match, they kind of had a little throwback, if you will, to Dusty's "The View Never Changes" promo, where he and Dustin hugged, and at the end, Cody basically hugged Dustin and kind of played the role of Dusty, bringing them together. And obviously, that great promo was kind of directed at you, calling you a walk behind it. Do you kind of, you remember that, and do you see the similarities between the two promos?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And everything in this business that was special, that people remember, You can go back to it if you do it in a tasteful way, whether it's being negative or positive, and addressing something that someone said, a promo that stuck, through the annals of time. You can go back to that, and people will know exactly what you're talking about. And those that ask, somebody will be glad to tell them. And I think that's the part of the industry that has been missing the last, let's just say, the 10 or 15 years. For sure, the last 5 is building something that lasts, other than just putting television on the air because you're financially obligated to a network and they're paying you a lot of money. Put something out there that people are going to remember. Put something out there they're going to feel something about one way or the other. And it's going to have a memory that lasts for the next 20 years. And 20 years from now, they're walking by a table with, maybe it's Cody Rhodes' kid who's just starting in the business. And they go, something? Let me tell you something that happened in Richmond on this date years and years ago. Let me tell you something about your grandfather 40 years ago. And that's the kind of things that we should be building for the next generation of talent and fans, lasting memories. Because that's what sells tickets, emotion.